Coming up on this program, we show you how to get connected, find out how to choose an internet service provider, discover the newest form of communication, electronic mail.
Ways down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, they're holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I was trying to wait out the internet storm, but like everything else in my life, fucked up. Fucked up. Oh, that's interesting. I don't have the comments up because I have the other screen up, and it's like, there are some YouTubers that literally just do this. They don't look at the comments. In fact, most YouTubers don't. I do, though. Maybe I'm just full of my. It's muted, or it's not muted. Hi, Amy. Amy, am I muted? Can you tell me that? Courtney, tell me. If I'm. Oh, I'm good. Okay. Not muted. Excellent. 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 Okay. So we are going to get going with something from the archives. It is from Thurston County. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, some YouTubers don't even look at the comments. Oh. Okay, well, fucking scared the shit out of me. Thanks. No, I'm just joking. It would just be like that. And I'm not modulated. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. Great. This is awesome so far. Let's not push it though.
It's Mr. Siller, Your Honor.
Siller, okay. All right, and then Mr. Drury, you're back with your client, Sunvic, and we're here on case 22322. And let me just get all my documents up and available.
I just mean most YouTubers don't actually interact live with their audience. You do, most of them don't, as we broke. StreamYard. Fuck you, StreamYard. I'm just gonna be quiet. Is what every blood he wished. Quiet for a little while.
Just re-familiarizing myself after preparing the other day. Okay, so Mr. Drury, Ms. Mysack, then this is all about the Sunvic's petition. Temporary order was issued against Mr. Siller, and I've had the opportunity to look at, let's see, the last thing that was filed was Mr. Siller filed things around December 30th, that supplemental, a declaration, also by a brother or a family member, I believe it was. And petitioner's call log, petition, yep, I've gotten a look at both sides have put forward exhibits. So if in the discussions here today, if you want me to look particularly again at an exhibit, just help me out, tell me where to look. But I've got those that I reviewed previously too. So let me put everyone under oath. Ms. Sunvic, just in case you testify, I'm gonna have you raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Ms. Sunvic?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Siller, if you'd raise your right hand as well, if you testify, I'll need you under oath. So do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, Mr. Siller?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks. And then I'm just going to turn to the attorneys and they're going to kind of run their show and decide what evidence they present or not. But so, Mr. Drury, your burden today on your client's request for this order to go beyond today. There you go. Mr. Drury,
you.
you're on.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we do have a witness, Ariel Thomas. Does the court want to swear her in now and
Thank you.
put her in a breakout room, or just the court?
Yeah, let me put Ms. Thomas. I didn't realize that she was a witness, but now I know. Okay, Ms. Thomas, let me put you under oath now so I don't forget to do that. And then what we're going to do is put you in a what we call a breakout room. You won't be able to hear the proceedings, and when we need you, we'll bring you back in. All right, so you're not to come back in to the court physically or by Zoom or in any way until we bring you back in. All right. Okay, I see a nodding, but I need you to answer out loud.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so raise your right hand with me. Ms. Thomas, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, so now you'll get an invitation to a breakout room, accept that, and then that's just where you'll be, and you can do whatever you need to do.
Isn't my hair
if
not
we
pretty
need you,
close
don't
to
go
this
too
now?
far.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that this is actually one
Um,
of my skills. That I can like recreate a lot of hairstyles that we see in court on the fly. I'm not a hairstylist, obviously, duh. But this on the fly, I mean, like that's actually a skill. If you were like, oh, she's trying to look like somebody on the screen, you'd know who I was looking like. I remember, put that one on my resume. Quick hair change artist. Oh, yes. Yes, I am. Parentheses, court related, parentheses.
Any witnesses, Ms. Mysack, I should know about? I didn't see anyone else.
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, so Mr. Drury, let me turn back to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, if I could take testimony from my client just briefly.
Okay, so Ms. Sunvic, I'll have Mr. Drury pose questions.
And Ms. Sunvic, do you know the respondent, Jacob Siller?
Yes, I did.
And just so you know, can the court hear her okay at this point? Or?
Did he just say, can the court hear her? As if playing directly into my going shtick of the court hairstylist? Oh, did I just hear that? Or did he really say it? I'm pretty sure he said it. I'm pretty sure he said it. Even he's smitten with my hair. He's like, oh my God. Hold on. Can I go back? Can I go back 15 seconds? I fucking can. Woo!
Ms. Sunvic, respondent Jacob Siller.
Silencing me. He just said it. I'm upset. You know what upsets me the most? I can't see the keyframes. I just sit here very upset.
Let's keep going, it was a little soft.
A little soft. Okay, just make sure to vocalize or get closer. So, And how do you know Mr. Siller?
I met him through work and then ended up in a relationship with Mr. Siller.
Yeah, I'm not able to get enough of a reading from your client. I don't know if your microphone can move or something, or you swap spots, or I don't know.
I could swap spots.
That's just a thought. So I'm presuming the microphone is attached or part of your laptop or your,
Just a thought.
yeah, maybe that.
I'm a judge and I love thinking about swaps. Allegedly, in my opinion.
Okay, let's try it again and see how we do now.
And you mentioned a relationship with Mr. Siller. Was that like a romantic relationship?
Yes, it was.
Is that better, Your Honor?
That is better, thanks. And Mr. Siller, Ms. Mysak, you're good? Hearing, thumbs up?
Herring.
Okay,
Yes, Your Honor.
good.
Can you hear
Okay.
her?
And where did you guys work at the same place?
Yes, we did.
Where was that?
Harbor Freight Tools.
And what was your position there?
I was a part-time associate.
And when did you take that job?
I got the job late May of 2022.
And you mentioned Mr. Siller. It sounds like he worked there as well.
Yes, he was my sales supervisor.
Was he in a position of authority for you at work?
Yes, he was.
And did he work there before you?
Yes, I don't remember how long he was at the company before I got there, but he had been working there a while.
And
So he should know better than to sleep with his employees. It's so tough though, guys. Believe me, I know. Allegedly.
as far as
Did he serve any role through you? I can't. But Mr. Rain.
work.
He did train me on cashier, and when he was the only my supervisor.
Allowed as far as you know?
Not when it comes to associate, they are not allowed.
And directly into your petition, are you still together with Mr. Siller?
No, we are not.
And why is that?
We broke up in mid-November. We were in a not good relationship and it ended up getting a bit abusive. So our relationship did take an end.
Okay. And when you say a bit abusive, do you know the specific day that you would say you guys called it off?
It was the 14th of November, 2022.
Did anything happen that day that impacted your relationship with Mr. Siller, or was abusive?
The day that we broke up, I went to grab my stuff. He had told me to come grab my things. I had went to the closet to start grabbing my clothes that were hung up in the closet. He aggressively grabbed the collar of my shirt and pushed me against a wall and was trying to talk it out. I told him I did not want to talk about it. I just wanted to get my stuff and leave. He would not let me, and then I just ended up leaving without my stuff. He walked me down, I guess you could say, to my car. I did not want him to, and then he proceeded to stand in front of my driver's side door, not letting me leave for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Mayor, I apologize. I did see it, but it was at the very beginning. Thank you so much, and we love you. GoFundMe again. Censoring me. Stop censoring me. Christ. Also, thank you so much, Mayor. We love you. Oh, look on the screen so I can see Tammy. I hope your husband's doing okay. I know you guys have to go back. We love you too. And then Sashina. Got to go back to school, but you're going to rock this last bit of vacation. I love all you guys. Okay, now I'm back over here. Harbor Freight. Sidebar, the saga of Paisley and her internet. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad to hear he's doing a little bit better. That is good to hear. The real house whores of Harbor Freight. See, now that if somebody was like, you know, we have an extracurricular program here at this office called House Whores. Now, you get me in. I know. I'm trying. I'm going to dip off the screen. I'm not going to say thank you in it, and then we'll see how we go.
Were you eventually able to leave that day?
Yes, he did end up going inside. I did get to leave. I began driving home. I ended up wanting to go on a drive just to clear my head. And then Mr. Siller began calling me over and over and over again, just demanding some of the stuff that I had that was his, and demanding we talk about it, and then proceeded to threaten me and threaten to break down my door and to take his stuff himself.
What specifically did he want, and what items did he want?
On closer to Halloween, we had gone to a EDM rave event. He had bought me a blanket that I wanted as a gift. And he had told me that if we broke up, in order to get my stuff back, I would have to give him back the blanket that he had bought me. I had agreed that I would bring him the blanket the next day. I wanted to bring someone with me. I didn't want to do it alone. I did not want to be alone with Mr. Siller again. And he just would not take that as an no as an answer. He wanted the blanket right then and there that night.
Now, we've submitted this paperwork here, you know, I can probably show you as a call log.
Okay,
There's
we
one
can
of-
look at, come on. I'm looking at another screen here as everything's electronic. So the petitioner's call log, that's what we're looking at right now. And okay.
And
you're
it
with us,
should
Mr.
have like a
Isaac?
green 1021 at the top, just to make sure we're. Okay. And
Yes,
I want
that's
to
what I've
hand
got.
you that call log. Can you tell me what that is, Ms. Sunvic?
This is a photo of my call log on my phone from all the times that Jacob had called me the night of the 14th.
And did you take that picture yourself?
Yes, I went back and took a screenshot of the image.
And I showed some of the, it just said
Thank you, Loud. Hopefully this doesn't break us again. Here who are gifters. Bye.
there and explain what that is.
Yes, so on iPhone, there's an ability to use FaceTime video where you can video chat to people. We would do either FaceTime video or just normal calls when calling each other.
And I note that some are white and some are red. What does that indicate?
The white ones are all the ones that I had answered, and then the red ones are ones that I didn't answer. As you can see, there's some that are a burst of 26 calls all at the same time that I did not answer any of them. The ones that I did answer, as you see, it's kind of sporadic throughout the call log. I was telling him to stop calling me and to please leave me alone. I just wanted space. I didn't want to talk to him. And it's one of the last calls that I did answer that he had threatened to kick in my door, and I proceeded to not answer any more phone calls after that.
That threat to kick in your door, did you believe that threat?
Yes, I did. I immediately turned around and immediately started driving back home.
Do you live within, like, where were you going when you say home?
I live with my father.
Okay. Now, is the 14th the last time that you communicated with Mr. Siller?
No, so I believe it was the 16th of November, 2 days later. I had not blocked him on Facebook Messenger yet, so he proceeded to call me on that about 10 or so times. I don't have the call log of that one. And he was claiming that he was at a mental hospital or something and he needed a ride. It was like 1 a.m. I just told him to stop calling me. Like, I'm not gonna go pick you up. Just leave me alone.
Do you know if he was in fact in a mental hospital?
I do not know for sure, no.
But did you not go to pick him up or go anywhere to see him?
No, I proceeded to block him on Facebook and everything else I had him on after that.
Okay. Now you mentioned this incident on the 14th. Is that the first time that is that the only time, I should say, that Mr. Siller was abusive towards you?
No, it was not.
Can you explain or describe another incident from your memory?
There was an incident on September 22nd. I was going over to Mr. Siller's house. We were planning on going to the Washington State Fair that day. We ended up getting into a small argument. I don't remember what started the argument, but we got into an argument. I ended up just being like, I'm just gonna go home. I'm gonna leave. I was standing, the door was behind me and I was standing in front of the door. And then in front of me is this kitchen table where my purse and my keys were sitting on the table. And Jacob was standing in between me and the table. I just wanted to get my purse and my keys so I could leave. He was not letting me get past him. I tried to just kind of scooch by him and he really aggressively put one hand in the front of my throat and the other in the back and proceeded to crush my throat very aggressively. He was yelling at me during this altercation and I was hearing his voice start to fade away as if I was slowly losing consciousness in a way. I did not end up I did not lose consciousness, but I did lose some feeling in my arm and in my leg. And I did feel a bit out of it for a second after he did end up releasing me.
Now, how did you get away, or how did that incident stop?
I was very much in shock after the incident.
Is he crying? That's if true. As always, listen to both sides. She does seem somewhat quick at telling this story. That may just be very often, but they are not dragging. They are not dragging it out of her question by question. It's a bit of more of a narrative. But she's banging off all these really key factors like the strangulation, etc. Anyways, I'm probably not even allowed to say that word.
has happened. I have never been in a situation like that. It was very scary and surreal. I ended up having a minor panic attack because of the incident. I didn't really know what to do. Mr. Siller would not let me leave his house. He forced me to sit down at his dining room table with him and wouldn't let me leave until I calmed down because he was scared that I was going to go to the cops and get him arrested. I was too scared to do so at the time, so I never called the police and I never called anyone the day of the incident. We ended up just going to the fair and he spent a bunch of money on me and as just to make me feel better, I guess.
I don't know how to interpret this. Do you go to the fair with somebody that just strangled you? Do you not go to the, I mean, you're among a lot of people at the fair. You could get away from him at the fair, find a police officer at the fair. You could just not go to the fair. You could pretend to go to the fair, go to the bathroom, ask for help, be escorted out. It just, and here's the thing, or you could be a victim of DV and just have gotten used to this behavior. I don't know. It's she really wanted to go to the fair. Possible. Like, I don't know.
I apologize, John.
Apologize for what?
So you guys did go to the fair that day?
Yes, we did go to the fair that day.
Now, did you guys ever talk about this incident or bring it up? You mentioned this was back in September 22nd, I believe. That other incident you mentioned was not until November 14th. So you guys, were you still an item over that period of time?
Yes, we were.
Did you guys talk about that incident at all while you were a couple?
There was a few times it was brought up. Mr. Siller always brushed it under the rug and acted as if it wasn't that big of a deal. I always tried to just let him know that it was very serious to me. It really bothered me, and I still think about it a lot to this day. It still sticks with me. It's just really terrifying. I didn't like the experience that I had to go through.
Is that as far as choking or blockage of an airway, is that the only time that that's happened in your relationship?
There was one other time that he had put me into a
stop
choke.
you there, Mr. Drury. And it's fine if Ms. Mysak and Mr. Siller don't, but I'm wondering when they turn off their cameras, I'm not sure if they're still with us in the hearing, so I need to know that.
Sorry, Your Honor, I had
So-
a brief lapse in Wi-Fi back.
Okay.
I don't think I missed
so,
anything.
That's okay. Well, I'll always kind of look for that and make sure that you're still with us as if you're here in court. So you need to, other than collapses and Wi-Fi's, please keep the cameras on and stay with us, both Mr. Siller and Ms. Mysak. So, all right, going back to Mr. Drury, in your case, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll just reiterate that last question. Is you mentioned an incident of choking on September 22nd or restriction of an airway. Is that the only time in your relationship that happened with Mr. Siller?
There was another time, I don't remember the exact date of this one. He had put me into a chokehold. We were kind of just hanging out at his house. He was tickling my legs. My legs were twitching and it kind of impulse kicking because that's how my body was reacting to it. I had warned him that I may accidentally kick him. I did accidentally kick him about right here. And I immediately apologized, but he also immediately ran around the bed and put me into a chokehold. My arm actually got stuck up in the chokehold and squeezed my arm very bad to where my arm was sore for the rest of the day.
How long did that chokehold last?
That one, I believe, like about only like 10 to 15 seconds. He wasn't really.
So you were play fighting, is what it sounds like? I'm not trying to be, I don't know. You gotta shut your mouth, Paisley. Listen. Yeah, listen.
Restricting my airways, but he did put me in a dramatic chokehold.
Now, you mentioned that you guys were kind of tickle fighting. Is it possible that during that incident that Mr. Siller was just being playful or playing along?
No, he was immediately he has very particular anger where all of a sudden his whole demeanor will change in a snap, and all of a sudden he was just extremely angry and just immediately put me in a chokehold. I immediately started crying after the incident.
Were there any injuries to any of these, like physical injuries to any of these two incidences with restriction of airway?
No marks were ever left. There wasn't anything really left over from it. Just the choking one, I had a sore throat, and then the chokehold, my arm was sore.
And you mentioned in your petition damage to your car. Not to skip around, but can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes, we had planned a trip to Oregon. We were planning to go to the zoo and look at a flower garden. Mr. Siller did not tell me how he was unhappy with what I was wearing that day. Instead, just kind of held it in until we were already in Oregon and proceeded to get very angry with me about what I was wearing.
Oh, she's winning me over. She's winning me over, because if that's fucking true, I'll wear whatever I want. I'm not wearing pants right now. Also, I have resting bitch face, so you got to be careful. So she may just be like getting through this. So, but don't tell people how to dress. Vocalize how you feel. Hey, when you wear that, it makes me feel weird. I know I'm an adult male and I should actually be able to, regulate my emotions better. But unfortunately, your outfit is making me uncomfortable. That's probably the one to listen to. What are you talking about? I don't give a shit. Also, Kelly, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is, because other people, what they are wearing and doing. All right, I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. Yeah, exactly. Um, I was like, what are you wearing? And then she's like, are you sexualizing me? And I was like, no, it's not your fault. Anyways.
And calling me disrespectful for what I was wearing. I decided that I was just going to begin driving home because I don't want to be in Oregon with someone who's making me feel like shit about myself. And so I began driving home. This made Mr. Siller.
Wait, you let make somebody? You can't do that. Come on now. Somebody in Oregon.
time and wasted his day. We drove all the way to Oregon for nothing. And he proceeded to get very angry and start violently punching the dash of my car in front of the passenger seat. And he did this in 2 bursts. He did it in 1 burst of just punching it over and over and over again. And then he kind of stopped for a minute and then did it again, as well as just kind of screaming at me. After this, I was kind of just over it, and I was just trying to tune him out. I was just kind of like, I was just making funny noises, like just like no, like just stop talking, basically just trying to get him to be quiet. And that was just making him more angry, and he ended up threatening to punch me in my jaw.
And that threat to punch you in the jaw, in that situation, did you believe that threat to be credible?
Yes, I did. He wanted me to shut up. He had threatened to punch me in the jaw because of what I was saying, and so I immediately decided to just be quiet.
Now, was there any damage to your car from that incident?
Yes, there was obvious marks from where he had punched my dash very aggressively.
And did you take video of that damage?
I did take a video of the damage to my car. I took a video like 2 days after it, or the night of. I can't remember the exact day. I took a video of it.
Okay. And did you submit that video to the court?
Yes, I did.
Going to back around the day when you guys, I guess, when would you say you officially were no longer an item or no longer in a intimate relationship with Mr. Siller? Is there a specific day?
November 14th, 2022.
Did you guys, but you've been working together at that time. Did you guys still work together at that time?
Yes, we did still work together.
Okay. And how was it going to work with Mr. Siller? Had things changed after that last incident?
So my first day back at work, with us not being in a relationship anymore, I was planning on just staying away from Mr. Siller as much as possible. There were other leadership there. I did not have to fully take authority to just Mr. Siller. He is on sales side. I'm on logistics, so he is not technically my supervisor if there's a logistics supervisor there. And so I was just trying to avoid him and help. We were resetting some of the tables and fixing things up, so I was just trying to help with them. Mr. Siller just would continuously follow me around. He was not leaving me alone. I was very visibly, I didn't want him near me. I just wanted to be civil and just work around it and not have to deal with it. He was very...
They did it in a wheelbarrow at work? Is that what they said? Sorry, the AI summary is fucking hilarious right now. But it understands that this is hilarious. I've never fucked at work. Ever.
persistent. He ended up just following me around and would touch me inappropriately at work. I was very uncomfortable with it.
I was really comfortable with it. I'm a terrible person.
I ended up telling a few people. I told Ariel that I was very uncomfortable, my coworker, because I was just so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. No one at work had known at this point, so I couldn't have made a scene about it. I didn't feel comfortable doing that.
And well, it sounds like you were speaking to Ariel. Is that somebody that you work with?
Yes.
As far as at work with?
Actually, no, it's the Little Mermaid, Ariel. Don't you know? I want to be part of her world. Judge or lawyer man. Also, you don't get to have a consensual relationship at work and then later on be like, oh shit, that was really like not consensual. It's not really fair. Because you have so many opportunities. You could tell anybody.
This stuff at that time?
Yes, Ariel was aware of mine and Mr. Siller's relationship at this point.
Okay, but nobody else?
There was one other coworker as well. His name is Kevin Houston.
At any point did you report this relationship to management?
The first day that I reported it to management is the day that I went to get the restraining order, and I was approved for the temporary and was waiting for Mr. Siller to be served. I went up to my boss, the store manager, and just told him the whole situation, and I just didn't know what to do.
Are you still at that same company
Yes, I am.
and at the same location?
Yes.
Is Mr. Siller at that location anymore?
No, he is not.
You mentioned as well in your petition, threats to kill. Did those occur during your relationship with Mr. Siller?
Yes, there would be multiple occasions where if there was anything that made him think that I was going to leave him, he would threaten to kill me, that I wasn't allowed to leave him. There was other times where if there was a talk about potentially me being pregnant, and if I aborted the child, he would kill me. There's just a lot of different things. He had also threatened to, if I had gotten him fired, that he threatened to beat up a bunch of people at work and make my life hell, in his words.
Considering Mr. Siller's physical size compared to you, are you able to defend yourself physically against Mr. Siller?
No, I am not. And Mr. Siller had proven to me on multiple occasions that he could physically easily overpower me. He practices at a boxing ring. Not a boxing ring, a fighting place. I don't remember the exact name of it, but he practices fighting, and he's a lot more stronger than me. I'm a small girl. I'm only 5'3". I weigh 120 pounds. I'm a very easy person to.
Hold on there, sister. Pump the brakes a little bit. Humble bragging about your 120 pounds. How old are you? Let me just tell you. Your 20s is a glorious time. Enjoy it. Work hard to keep it.
Overpower, and Mr. Siller is a very strong man. I do not feel safe around him.
And those threats to kill, when they were given, did you believe those threats?
Yes, I did.
So what changed?
Since that temporary order was entered, have you had any contact from Mr. Siller that you're aware of?
I have not had any contact.
Okay. Have you reported to law enforcement any of these incidences that you've described?
I had went to report it to law enforcement about 2 weeks ago. I had called, I had spoken with an officer to go in and write a statement. The day I went in to go write the statement, the officer was not in at that point. I asked if I could just write the statement to leave. They didn't really know how to help me, so they gave me the officer's email. I never got around to reaching out. The officer did tell me that there wasn't a likelihood of charges coming from it, so I did not think it was that important to follow through with it.
And
Odd. Also hearsay.
just going back, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 3. Can you describe what that is?
So this is just some of the text messages from me and Jacob. Mr. Siller had included his own sets of text messages. The only thing is he has 2 phone numbers. I have both of his phone numbers saved under the same contact. As you can see, the blue and green bubbles, those are 2 different phone numbers. Mr. Siller included all of the blue messages in his documents, but failed to include the other ones. where he tries to paint as we had a great relationship, but fails to include the time that he told me that all of my stuff was thrown in the trash and I would have good luck fishing it out because I didn't immediately bring him his blanket.
And are you referring to the exhibits filed by Respondent, the text messages that were filed by Respondent?
Yes.
Your Honor, we asked, I'm all done with my questions for Ms. Sunvic, but I'd asked to admit the call log is Respondent's Exhibit 1, the video of the dash cam, which was submitted into evidence as Exhibit 2, and then this text message conversation as Petitioner's Exhibit 3.
So Ms. Mysak as to those requests for admission.
I just want to clarify that these are the ones that were already given to me, the call log and the other two, Mr. Drury.
Those are the
The
same
court
exact
file?
documents.
Okay.
So the only things I see in the court file.
Okay, then no objection.
Okay, so those will be the petitioner's call log is 1, the damages video is petitioner's exhibit 2, the petitioner exhibit 3 becomes continues to be petitioner's exhibit 3 admitted now. Right. And so any cross-examination, Ms. Mysak?
Yes, Your Honor, very briefly.
That's funny. Let's time the briefness of the lawyer. 8:15, 18:15, 6:15. Go.
Miss Sunvic, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm sorry. You had mentioned that Jacob is in more of a supervisory role, right?
Yes.
Or was, I guess was. So the two of you had to kind of keep your relationship a secret, otherwise he would get in trouble. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And you, partially because of that, pretty much only hung out at where he lives, right?
Well, that was because I live with my father and I don't like bringing other people to my dad's house.
Okay. But generally to hang out, you would go over to his house, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you would go over to hang out to his house, or his apartment, you would text him when you got there so that he let you in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, I'm looking at Respondent's Exhibit number 1. Is that what you were doing in these text messages when it says walking up?
Yes.
Okay. And these are dated throughout the month of September, correct? Until
Yes.
September 21st. Okay.
So let me slow you down there, Ms. Mysak, so I know what I'm looking at. I don't have anything labeled exhibit 1. I have respondents exhibits, and then I have the declarations and supplemental declaration. So when I've got a lot of screenshots of text messaging, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I had listed Respondent's Exhibit number 1 in the upper left-hand corner, but it might not look like that for you.
But I do see it. No,
Okay.
thanks. I do see it. Thanks for
Okay.
pointing that out. All right, go ahead.
No worries. So you continued to visit his apartment throughout the month of September, correct?
Yes.
And after the month of September, correct?
Yes.
September was the month that you stated that that first choking incident happened. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Looking at Respondent's Exhibit number 2, these happened beginning of November. You told him that you loved him on November 3rd. Also on November 3rd, that you're coming over and that you're walking up, again, a sign that you're over at his house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now looking at Respondent's Exhibit number 3, can you, where it says chess, these are games that you can play, correct? And they kind of bounce back and forth between each player.
Yes.
Okay, so you had been playing games with Mr. Siller on November 4th, and it looks like on November 6th as well.
Yes.
And you had went over to his house on November 5th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And again, on Respondent's Exhibit number 4, this is dated November 10th. Looks like you are in Lakewood, and he kind of says, well, he has to wake up early, so you'll just have to hang out another time. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you responded, why? As an indication that you would have preferred to hang out on November 10th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And looking at Respondent's Exhibit number 5, this one's a little bit blurrier, but I believe it says November 12th. But right above that it says walking up. So you had visited Mr. Siller either on November 12th or probably 11th or something a little before then, correct?
Yes.
And you had played games with him on November 12th.
Yes.
So when you would go over to his house, you would see his brother there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. His brother lives with him, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's safe to say that up until November 14th, you continued to visit Mr. Siller at his apartment, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm looking at Respondent's Exhibit number 6. Respondent's Exhibit 6, excuse me. This was Monday, November 14th, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and this is the day that the relationship ended, right?
Yes.
Okay. He states to bring him his blanket, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next day on November 15th, he states, message me when you're here. I'll set your stuff outside for you, or you can bring it down if you prefer that. I love you. I'm really sorry we couldn't work this out. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so it's fair to say that Mr. Siller was kind of the one to cut off this relationship. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And then it looks like a little bit later, maybe an hour or so after, Mr. Siller states on the same day of November 15th that you can keep that blanket, that was a gift for you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we look at Respondent's Exhibit number 7, this is on another platform, correct? Than the last one?
No, it is on the same.
It looks like, oh, you're right. But at the very bottom, it states this contact has been blocked. This typically happens when one person blocks another person's contact, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But despite the breakup, do you two continue kind of playing games back and forth?
No, we played games in the early day of November 14th, but after the breakup, we did not play any more games after that. I had blocked him.
Okay. But these being Mr. Siller's screenshots, it's fair to say that you were blocked as well, because I had gotten them from him, but that's what it looks like down at the bottom where it says this contact is blocked, correct?
Yes, but that can also show up when it can be there. He could have blocked me the day he took the screenshots and then it would show up. On mine, I don't get that notification on my iMessage. It does not say that. I'll get an option to unblock if I look at it a different way, but it doesn't pop up on the message bar.
Correct. I just wanted to know if that's what that meant down there. Now I'm
Yes.
looking at respondents exhibit number 8. He states, "Can you please come get your stuff? I don't want to throw it away." And then you state, "Can we please just talk about this?" So is it fair that he wanted this relationship to end and you maybe did not as much?
It definitely went back and forth. This relationship should have ended months and months before this day. I was very much just stuck in this abusive relationship. I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't understand how to
Miss
live
Sunvic,
outside of it.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Just when he sent this message, when you said, "Can we please just talk about this?" At that time when he sent that, you possibly wanted to keep this relationship going.
I wanted to talk to him about it because he was not
Okay.
having a stable conversation with me about it when we were breaking up.
Okay, but you wanted to talk, and he was letting you know, "No, I'm done." Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to reiterate, you had submitted that call log where you shows that Jacob had called you a few too many times, correct? It's one of the things
Yes.
that you submitted. And I just want to reiterate that after that, or even a day after that, you hadn't heard from him since all of this had happened. Is that fair?
No, I did not hear from him.
Okay. You no longer work with Mr. Siller, correct?
Not after the order was placed.
Okay. He had left, correct?
He was given the option to transfer, I do believe, and he decided to quit.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions for petitioner.
Any redirect, Mr. Drury?
Just briefly, I just want you to do as best you can with this answer, but you were asked a question regarding staying in the relationship, and you mentioned in a way, and I might not have quoted it exactly, but you didn't know how to get out of it or something to that effect. Can you explain that a little bit more at that point?
Yes, I am aware that, yes, Jacob would have been the one to get in trouble, being that he was the authority in our relationship given at work. But I was also nervous because I was also technically in the wrong being in the relationship. I was scared I would lose my job as well. With my workplace, I was also I didn't know how to leave it in general. He had threatened to kill me if I had left the relationship on multiple occasions. I felt scared and I didn't know what else to do. I felt kind of stuck for a few months. There was a few months I didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, but I just didn't know how to get out.
That's all I have, Your Honor. I would like to call Ariel, and I'm forgetting her last name now, Miss Thomas.
Thomas, okay. So we've got her in a breakout room. Ms. Thomas is in the breakout room, so we can allow her out now. Takes I don't know how long, 30, 40 seconds for it to come in. So we'll just pause.
If she was, I don't know that they would be letting Ariel testify here. I'm sure the legal team of Harbor Freight is not happy about this. I grabbed some chips. I need another drink. It's hot as fuck. Cold ginger ale. I think I actually got a bit of a sunburn today.
And Ms. Thomas, you can unmute and join the hearing.
A little bit.
All right, so Mr.
Okay, she
Drury is
kept
going to
his
be
$10
asking you some questions, and then Ms. Mysack will be allowed to do so thereafter. And we've already put you under oath. So, Mr. Drury,
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Thomas, if you have difficulty hearing me, just let me know, okay?
Will do.
Ms. Thomas, do you know Jacob Siller?
I do.
How do you know him?
I used to work with him
And where is that?
at Harbor Freight Tools.
And do you know Miss Ashley Sunvic?
I do.
And how do you know her?
I also work with her.
And how did you work at Harbor Freight prior to Miss Sunvic?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you describe your relationship, if any relationship, with Jacob Siller?
I wouldn't say we were close friends, but we were friends at work. And I've known him for probably about a year or so.
Okay. And how would you describe your relationship with Ashley Sunvic?
We're friends at work.
Now, were you at any point made aware of allegations by Miss Sunvic that she was being assaulted or abused in a relationship?
I was.
Okay, and when sorry, and about when was that?
That would have been around late September, early October timeframe.
And what were you told?
I was told of 3 separate instances where Mr. Siller had put his hands around her neck and choked her 3 separate times.
And who told you that?
Miss Sunvic.
Now are you aware that she eventually applied for a no contact order?
Yes.
And did you speak with her at all about domestic violence or about abuse in relationships?
I did. I actually encouraged her to get a restraining order.
Okay. And did she seem hesitant to do that, or how did she appear to take that advice?
She was very hesitant at first, yes.
Did she give you a reason?
She was in fear of losing her job and getting in trouble.
And do you recall the last day that you saw Mr. Siller and Miss Sunvic at work together?
I do. I don't remember the exact date, but it was sometime maybe mid-November.
Okay. Can you describe how they appeared to be around each other that day?
Miss Sunvic was very irritated at work. Mr. Siller was following her around, trying to make amends over a fight that they had. And she wasn't having it. She was just really upset and irritated. And she told him to leave her alone, and he then appeared to be very aggressive and hostile towards everybody in the workplace.
I'll say this. I've hooked up with many coworkers. Shh. Nobody ever knew. Nobody got fired. Nobody got called to fucking management. Because I'm a big girl. Make big girl decisions.
Okay. Did it appear to be like a playful thing at all, or that the two were?
No.
Did Miss Sunvic talk to you about that?
She did afterwards, yes.
And what was the substance of what she said?
She had told me that they had gotten into a fight the night prior.
Did she just say she had telled. No.
And he was, at that point, she was just over it. She wanted to be done with the relationship. Normal. It did not. She and I said, you need to be done with it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Ms. Thomas, you stated you work with both Jacob and Ashley, correct? That's correct. When you said, well, that you know that their relationship was more of a secret, correct? That's correct. Okay. But your friendships with both of them were both friendships that were at work, correct? That's correct. Okay. So you never really spent considerable time with both of them outside of work, right? I've given Mr. Siller ride homes. That's the only time outside of work. Okay. So you've never witnessed Mr. Siller choke Miss Sunvic, correct? I've never witnessed anything, no. You've never witnessed any abuse by Mr. Siller to Miss Sunvic, correct? That's correct. Okay. And all of these accusations were told to you by Miss Sunvic, is that correct? That is correct. I have no further questions.
Any redirect, Mr. Drury?
Don't think so, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Drury, any objection to excusing Ms. Thomas?
To what, sorry?
Excusing Ms. Thomas, or would you like
No.
her to remain in a breakout room?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Mysak, any objection to the court excusing Ms. Thomas and allowing her to be on her way?
No objection.
Okay, so what that means, Ms. Thomas, is you can leave Zoom and leave this hearing altogether, or you can watch on YouTube. It's up to you. All right,
Okay.
but you're not expected to be called back to testify.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to you, Mr. Drury. Any other information for the court?
Remember, that's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Mysak, let me turn to you then. What would you like to do at this stage?
I have a few questions for Mr. Siller.
Okay, Mr. Siller, we've already put you under oath and your attorney is going to be able to ask you some questions. Mr. Drury will be allowed to ask you questions as well. So Ms. Mysak, go ahead.
Now, am I wrong, or should she have just asked for a directed verdict? My theory on this, if I was teaching law, would be to ask every time. And I think that she should have asked for the directed verdict. And this is our continued harass whatsoever.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll begin by letting the court know that Mr. Siller has uploaded a declaration and a supplemental declaration, so I'm not going to have him testify to what the court has already read, but just to highlight some of the few key points that I think are important. Jacob, can you describe to me how often the petitioner would come over to your place?
Yes, Ashley would come over, stay the night 3 to 4 nights a week, and she was probably hanging out 5 to 6 days a week over at my place.
Okay, tell me when this started and when this stopped.
We started dating about the end of summer, I want to say June, and we finished dating November 14th.
Okay, and describe to me whether you had any indication that Miss Sunvic was unhappy in the relationship or that anything had happened that indicated to you that she didn't want to come over anymore?
I had nothing. We had a pretty solid relationship from my point of view. We went out on a bunch of dates. She came over, stayed the night on a regular. We had a bunch of stuff over here that was like her clothes, basically a good night, over the night bag. But it seemed all right to me.
Okay. So describe to the court why you had broken up with Miss Sunvic. Now that went.
Ashley and I, we had our minor hiccups, but one of the things I'd consistently bring up to her is she was pretty bad with like name calling and also what she thought was playful hitting. I didn't think was playful hitting. Ariel had witnessed this before at work where she had like kicked carts into my legs, stomped on my feet, little things like that she thought was playful, but mostly it was just bickering is why we ended.
Okay. And then tell the court, I guess, how you had broken up with her.
We had come to my place arguing. She had been calling me every name in the books, insulting everything about me. When we got here, a little bit more arguing. My brother was here at the time. We broke up and I walked her down, let her go home.
Okay. And how long after this breakup were you served with a temporary protection order?
I don't remember the exact date. It was a few days after that.
Okay, about 2 to 3 days, would you say?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you surprised to see this temporary protection order? And if so, tell the court why.
I was absolutely surprised. Again, Ashley and I had a pretty solid relationship. We hung out all the time. Seemed like things were good. Seemed like things were good at work. This is also dropped at me when I was in the middle of my work shift, so I got sent home. Yeah, pretty much super surprising.
Okay. And again, just to reiterate, is there anybody that you two had spent time with outside of work besides really your brother?
No, we didn't spend time with anybody. We knew that her older sister was my direct manager, so we knew that I would be the one to get in trouble if anybody knew we were dating.
Okay. And your brother had provided a declaration to the court, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Since the breakup, what steps have you taken to distance yourself from the petitioner?
So since the 16th, which is the last night I had any contact with her, I blocked her on all social media platforms. I've changed jobs. I now work in Centralia. I've done everything I can to stay away outside of moving out away from the state.
Okay. Tell the court whether you desire to stay away from Miss Sunvic, whether there is not a protection order. Do you have any desire to be around Miss Sunvic?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Come on, short and sweet lawyer. You're doing really good, actually.
Your Honor, I do not have any further questions.
Mr. Drury, any questions of Mr. Siller?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Siller, you described this breakup on the 14th as just kind of this sort of uneventful situation where you guys broke up and you said you let her go to her car. You walked her out at that time. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. And then that same day, that's the day of this uneventful sort of normal breakup, and then you go ahead and call her about 40 times the same day. Is that correct?
Correct.
You were told multiple times during that to stop calling. Is that correct?
Yes.
But you kept calling.
Yes.
You also submitted some text messages. Did you review the text messages you submitted as part of the evidence?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Did you review the text messages you submitted as part of the evidence?
I submitted everything that I had, every single message to my attorney.
Okay.
On all platforms.
Did you cherry
On-
pick is what he's asking?
The November 15th messages you submitted on, it looks like Exhibit 6. They start, come over, you're being stupid, you better bring my blanket. Ms. Sunvic mentions you will get it tomorrow. Prior to that, you omitted the text message where you said, your stuff is in the trash, good luck fishing it out. Do you remember sending that text message?
I did send that text message.
You did not submit that as part of your text message discovery?
I submitted every single message that Ashley and I had exchanged, whether it was on my iPhone or the work phone number I have.
But not that text message?
Again, I submitted every single message from all platforms.
Your Honor, can I make a record?
And what would
I
that
don't want the
record be?
court to be misled. I think Mr. Drury and Mr. Siller are talking about two different things. Mr. Siller, Mr. Drury is referring to the text messages that Mr. Siller and I had submitted together to the court. Mr. Siller and I had gone over additional text messages that was submitted to me. I don't want Mr. Drury to lead the court to believe that Mr. Siller himself had submitted these text messages when counsel did.
I figured that. And I was wondering, Mr. Drury, maybe to be more specific, are you referring to petitioner's exhibit number 3 in part of this questioning?
Yes, Your Honor, we submitted petitioner's exhibit number 3, and then just in comparing that to respondent's exhibit number 6,
Okay.
we were noticing the difference there, that it appeared that text message, as I followed the stream of text messages, that particular text message was missing. So the conversation that was submitted was not complete. So that was my point. But counsel's right. I'm not sure if it's Mr. Siller giving the text messages to his attorney and then his attorney filing it. And obviously, I'm sure the attorney filed the text messages. Can I continue is the court clear, or does the court need?
Yeah, I'm more clear. Thank you. And when you're referring to, just try and throw out an exhibit number or where you want me to look.
Sure.
Make
I
it clear.
think I failed to
Thanks.
mention petitioner's exhibit 3 on that. Mr. Siller, did you contact my client on or about the 16th of November and indicate to her that you were in a mental health institution?
I did. So the night of the 16th, I drank in a little bit. And I'd walked myself to a behavioral hospital just because Ashley and I had a very good relationship. I don't really got anybody to talk to. So I mean, I need somebody.
Did you ask her to come pick you up at that time?
I did.
Okay. And did you then, I guess, get counseling there or help or?
Yeah, didn't seem too helpful to me, but they did what they could. They gave me a listening ear. That was enough.
I'm sorry, they gave you a.
They just heard me out. Really, is all it was.
Gotcha. No, that's all I have.
Any redirect, Ms. Mysak?
Yes, briefly. Jacob, in looking at the call log and looking at the messages that Mr. Drury is referring to when you had called her and when you had stated that you were in a mental health facility, you're not denying that those things exist, correct?
Not at all.
Are you seeing them in a different light now than you did during that day, though?
I don't think at the time the way I called her was okay, but once this protection order was dropped on me, I understood exactly what was going on. I've done everything I can to stay away. Don't want any more contact.
It's fair to say that those messages happened on the night of a breakup and that you were emotional, but you have a clear head now. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Okay. Mr. Siller, do you need a protection order in order to stay away from Miss Sunvic?
I don't think so. I don't understand. What do you mean by that? Like one on her?
I'm asking, can you stay away from Miss Sunvic without the court granting a protection order?
100%.
Okay.
I work in a different city. I resigned from my position. Again, outside of moving outside of the state, there's not much more I could do to stay away.
Okay. Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
So, my second, any other information or evidence to present to the court?
Nothing further for respondent.
Okay, get your guesses in the chat. Will the judge put this in place or deny? 1 for in place, 2 for deny. 1 for in place, 2 for deny. Get your guesses in the chat. Well, guess the crime doesn't really fit. So just guess. Put in your guesses. Your guesses in the chat. 1 for in place, 2 for denied. Vince is going. Okay, Crimson says 2. Barb, what does that mean? I believe him too, but what does that mean what the judge will do? Denied. Denied. Opposite of what I said, but you think it's denied? I believe letters over numbers because I hated math. All right, let's see. I hate that it doesn't bring up the real emojis here. Okay, Barb's being clear. Barb's being clear. MB, I think this judge leans on the side of safety sometimes. Oh, but MB's changing her mind. Okay, here we go. Let's just fucking let's go. That's sort of where I'm landing.
Okay, and then just Mr. Drury, any rebuttal of any kind, any other information to support your petition?
No, Your Honor, just closing statements if we can.
Okay, all right. So we'll move on to that. Mr. Drury, I'll hear from you, and then Ms. Mysek, I'll hear from you. And Mr. Drury, go ahead.
Your Honor. Well, the court heard from, obviously, in writing from my client through the petition as well as through her testimony and sort of corroborative testimony in Ms. Ariel Thomas. My client described a multitude of different incidences, a few involving strangulation or blockage of an airway, which are very serious matters and punishable at law. If that were to happen, is very serious matters. My client described in one particular incident losing feeling in her extremities, feeling like she was about to black out. And when she described these incidents, she also described a headlock or some type of like an arm bar on her for Mr. Siller during arguments, and as well as threats, intimidation. We see the call log, and I understand that may be around a breakup. So, passions are high or emotions are high at that point. But that's pretty out of the ordinary for that to occur, like in that situation. But more to the point, and I understand that these are denied by Mr. Siller, but she's able to go back and identify specific incidences, going to fairs, dates, things that were said during these incidences. And most importantly, I think she spoke to somebody, Ms. Thomas, about this at work about a month and a half prior to ever filing anything, and disclosed these incidents to her friends at work. While that is obviously, a statement from my client to another, the fact that Ms. Thomas was able to reiterate that these things were told to her long before my client ever filed, and my client sat on it. And there's some cross-examination, it can be.
A timely moment for him to say that his client sat on it after we were just talking about the Huktua girl. Huktu? I don't spit like that. There's a sexier way to spit and lubricate, in my good opinion.
Typical in these matters for a person like my client that did not come right out and just leave the relationship. Why wouldn't she do that? Well, that is also not a very unique situation where somebody is suffering from this type of abuse or from this type of serious domestic violence, to not go to the cops right away, to try to stick out the relationship, to try to act like things are normal within the relationship when they are very much not normal. It was after a conversation she had with Ms. Thomas that she finally realized that she needed to end this thing and go file for protection. I understand, Mr. Siller may be able to stay away without a protection order, but that's not really the test or the relevant inquiry here for the court today. The question is whether my client suffered abuse or domestic violence and needs a protection order, and whether or not with those threats to kill, my client felt that they were true and that they were going to happen, threats of violence. My client did. She testified to all that, and she feels she very much needs protection to go on with her life, to be protected by this court. This is a young lady that's suffered some pretty serious events here. And I think we've established enough corroborative evidence to show through her testimony, through her friend's testimony, through the written material that was provided to require a protection order here, Your Honor. We'd ask the court to grant one.
Hey, Ms. Mysak?
Thank you, Your Honor. Counsel and petitioner mentioned a few different instances. One of them, choking, where the petitioner states that she lost feeling in her arm and her leg. Seems pretty severe. I'm a little confused as to why there wouldn't be a mark. If that were true, I understand that marks don't always appear, but that seems to be a pretty severe instance of choking. She additionally mentioned that she was put into a headlock, that there were threats made, intimidations made. We don't have any proof of that. None. We have text messages, and in any of those text messages, I don't see any proof of any threats made. The only threat that I see possibly could be putting her stuff in the trash, which I think that we can all equate to tensions running high. There was just a breakup. We heard from Ms. Thomas, who worked with both parties. She had a working relationship with them only. She never hung out really with either party other than maybe giving Mr. Siller a ride home outside of work. She never witnessed them in a non-professional setting. Really, a better witness is Isaac Siller, who had provided a declaration to this court. That's Mr. Siller's brother. He lives with Jacob, and as the court can tell through the text messages, the petitioner spent considerable time at the respondent's house. If all of these things were going on, the choking, the headlock, the threats, the intimidation, I'm not sure why petitioner had continued. Respondent wasn't going over to petitioner's house. Petitioner was going over to respondent's house and requesting to be let up into his apartment. And that happened for months throughout September, October, and November until they broke up, and even before then from September. Your Honor, there was also a threat, kick in the door. We don't have any proof of that. In where the petitioner had stated that the respondent had called her too many times, Mr. Siller isn't denying that. He knows that tensions were high. They just had broken up, and he was going through a phase. I think the court can understand that. And since then, there hasn't been any contact. He has gotten a new job. He's in a whole nother city. He hasn't called her. He hasn't texted her. Not only has Ms. Sunvic blocked him, he has blocked her. He has made a conscious decision to stay away, and he does not need an order of protection in order to do that. I think the message was very clear when he was served with that paperwork. And, you know, some of these things, Your Honor, there really aren't exact dates on, which is why I'm calling into question the validity. I know, like, the chokehold was mentioned. Ms. Sunvic doesn't remember the exact date. You know, I don't really even have a month for that. I think the text messages are clear in that Mr. Siller had been the one to break up with him. Although the relationship, they may have argued, it's clear in some of the text messages that Ms. Sunvic did not want to break up. And very clear, very soon after they broke up, he was served with a protection order, not during the relationship. After he had broken up with her, they had a disagreement over text messages, and she didn't like the disagreement. And so now Mr. Siller has to sit with us here today. So, Your Honor, in looking at the statute, I am asking the court not to find that petitioner had met their burden and deny the petition.
And any rebuttal, Mr. Drury?
Just briefly, I guess. I mean, number one, Ms. Sunvic and Ms. Thompson's testimony is evidence, and that can be used by the court, obviously, as proof of abuse. So there is proof here. Sure, we have somebody that's in a domestic violence relationship that can't provide text message proof of this abuse. I don't see too many cases where abusers write out their abuse in text messaging and forward that, other than some harassment cases where there might be some threats. This happened in conversations, as it usually does. This happened in a relationship during intimate times, when only my client and her abuser were there. My client was intimidated. This is not a unique situation. She testified, I think, about looking at her testimony about the things she could recall in those certain situations, the things that were said to her. And the fact that she reported this a month and a half, 2 months before she ever came forward to another individual, I don't see defense alleging some type of, you know, the creation from my client. Why would she hold on to this that long? Why would she create it back then? And if she was lying and then bring it out now, 2 months later, that doesn't make any sense. We've put forward a situation where she was counseled by a friend and finally had enough at her young age to come forward and finally put an end to this. And there's enough corroborative evidence here to substantiate what occurred. The video of her dashboard that was beat in by the defendant, the dates with the text messages, things like that. The way Ms. Thompson described that last day of work between my client and Mr. Siller. Mr. Siller described in his declarations the last day of work that was fanciful. Everything was fine. They were playful again. That is not the last day of work that Ms. Thompson described, where he was basically lurking around my client, following him around and being inappropriate with her at work, and that she was highly annoyed. The balance of the evidence suggests that domestic violence occurred here. I think we've met our burden. And again, it's my client that needs this order, regardless of whether Mr. Siller needs it. My client needs it for her protection.
Let me just pause here before I make a ruling. Review a few things here.
Pause. Wait a minute. I love the chat. Do always say what you want. We got some real ass people around here. It's a pretty cool group of us. And then, oh, I was just about to look. I was like, what were you looking at, Paige? What were you looking at on your phone? And then ADHD plus no visual imagery just took off. And I couldn't remember that it's a comment that came in on the lesbian video, turning out to be a real winner of that video. Let's see what this person says. Oh, finally. Something not about the lesbian. Judge, can you
Back
hurry up?
at, excuse me, just looking back at 7105. I was re-reviewing, given the recent changes.
We really were, and that video it's over 1.6 thousand views, which for my lives is actually pretty high numbers. Actually, for any live performance, that's pretty good. Even big channels might only get a couple thousand views on lives. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Somebody did write, how is it even though you sped up the play speed, her pauses are still the same? Which was crazy. That was so the case. I put it in caps in the title, and people, they want to talk about it. The thing is, there was no clickbait. None of that title is clickbait. If anything, I'm freaking... Oh, but this person's watching the whole video because they commented an hour ago, and then they've commented now. I love that. I love repeat commenters. You know what I'm saying? Like when you are watching along and you're commenting as you go in the comments, it's like algorithm gold. And that lady snacked the whole time too, right? My God. I like it. I enjoy that as a creator. No, I am not.
Right.
Oops,
So
sorry. I didn't pause it.
Mr. Siller, Ms. Sunvic, then at this stage, the court is issuing an order under RCW 7105 and under the domestic violence laws. And I kind of map out what my reasoning is here. I've heard obviously a lot of testimony and read a lot of good information supplied by the parties here. I find there's credible testimony presented through the petitioner, through her witness, of previous assaults in a relationship, threats within a relationship, malicious mischief or damage to personal property in a relationship that qualifies as acts of domestic violence against Ms. Sunvic by Mr. Siller. And in weighing all this evidence, I've heard credible testimony from Mr. Siller and reviewed his declaration. I'm not putting a whole lot of weight into Isaac's declaration, but am taking it into consideration, certainly because he lived in this household. However, for both Ms. Thomas and the brother, Isaac, there's question, I think, from all of us as to what they observed and what they heard instead. And there's that familial relationship that may undercut some of the motive there. Whereas Ms. Thomas, I find a bit more credible in that simply a coworker, not personally involved with either of these parties. her testimony as to what she saw on I think it was around November 14th at work, and her testimony of what she heard from the petitioner, because she isn't, there wasn't any testimony, any information, any evidence that would undercut and give any bias as to why she would tell untruths or trying to get Mr. Siller in trouble or try to make him lose his job or somehow that would undercut credible testimony.
I wonder why they didn't mediate first. They both had lawyers. I think that might be to the detriment of their clients, both going in there thinking, oh, this is in the bag. Because I think that they should have mediated this to not have a TPO, maybe to have a court-ordered sort of agreement, but not a full-blown TPO, because this is not good for him. I thought Attorney Mysak actually did a really good job, way better than a lot of lawyers that we've seen allegedly. I say allegedly because lawyers have a lot more money and, funny enough, time than I do. So I don't want to get sued. But I was just thinking to myself, like, we're going to watch the rest of this, but I think there's another case on this one. Should we keep watching? Probably.
Show bias. Now that the temporary restraining order worked is good. And that's what we expect to go forward. Mr. Siller, is that you follow court orders. And you don't have a history of not doing that. And I'm glad that worked. But again, that your willingness is not really what the court takes into consideration when trying to determine whether an order should issue under RSW 7105. Was there domestic violence? I find there's sufficient evidence, credible evidence presented that you did commit acts of domestic violence against Ms. Sunvic during that relationship, and that there's a preponderance of the evidence of that and a preponderance of the evidence that
of my lives, Vince. I just want to be clear because some of my videos actually have good views, like views, or I think there's even one with silence me. Stop silencing me. But yes, of the lives, the lesbian one, there are a few names catch on, and it always happens that as soon as about 1,000 views, I can tell with the comments, and I can sort of, most of the time people are telling me to shut up.
needed. So I'm going to make this for 1 year from today, January 9th of 2024. And it will expire on its own. There's some motion from either party for the court to take it up and consider it either to terminate it or to modify it, or in advance of its expiration to renew it. But there are burdens that need to be shown by the petitioner and evidence to be taken from both sides again, should there need to be a renewal. And it's not just renewed by a judge signing it up again. There's another hearing had and then the full set of information taken and consideration weighed. So give me a moment to, I don't intend that this order be any different than the temporary order. So I'm pulling that up here. As to that, Mr. Drury, anything to say?
Sorry, if I could just review the petition real briefly, see if there's
I'm
anything
going to have to
requested.
say with my sack, so take the time to look at things.
Looks like my client asked for 1 year, which the court ordered. It doesn't look like there's a firearms ownership as far as we're aware of, but she does show some indications of fear of him acquiring firearms. And she does ask for an evaluation for mental health. I
Do I look unimpressed? I'm unimpressed. Are they really asking for that? I was trying to put a poll up. Anyways, do you know what the poll was gonna say? Because I don't really care about that. It was gonna say, are we gonna from there? The poll was, is it up? It was gonna say, and by the way, the people commenting, no polls. The poll to say, do you want to watch this? Do a TPO or a new judge? I'm gonna buffer until so we have to decide on the video. That I don't really. We can either listen to another short case TPO from a different judge. I think we should go to be off today. I'm gonna pre-frame. Hear yourself off before I do it. It'll be better. On Texas, I think. Good night, Bill. Shelton is an old school class. Whoa, hello, lady.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning. Oh, the noises are like ASMR. Creak goes the door. Vague animal noises in the
What's this? This is an imposter page. That's how bad of this. No, the lag is me. It's hot. There, they disappeared after I'm gonna dip so that I don't have an ugly fucking face. The time. Where's the judge gonna make me move now? I almost fit perfect. Come on now, judge, hurry up.
Adopted that they get a
Did we miss something? I'm early, or is that just him? Probably in chambers with somebody.
and I'll
I have the Smith versus
adopted that they get a big
I'll get out of the way. That way we can see what's going on.
right, Molly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I noted a hesitation there, Mr. and Ms. Powell. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and I'll grant the adoption, and I will go ahead and change.
And miss something so critical as somebody hesitating. I'm not even joking. It is so hard to just go back a little bit.
Oh, I looked over everything and I've got your fingerprint card, so I think we're good to go. So I will go ahead and you do give your consent, right, Molly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I noted a hesitation there, Mr. and Ms. Powell. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and I'll grant the adoption, and I will go ahead and change your name as you requested. And it's traditional when the child is adopted that they get a big ice cream sundae for breakfast. So I guess y'all have to at least put out that put that out. Okay. All right. So
She can have whatever she wants.
all right, Molly, you got them wrapped around your little finger. Good job there. Anyway, I'll go ahead. I'm signing your papers right now, and you can probably pick them up in probably ought to give us till Tuesday or something like that, but they'll be all set, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, let's see.
All right, now that these happy people are done, let's get rid of them. And it's time for the fight to begin.
All right, let me run through the docket before we get started, everyone, and let's see who's here and who is not. Let's see. Do we have Kim on the Rainwater yet? I think I saw Iris. I see Iris. We're just waiting on your attorney. Let's just give us a few minutes, okay, Iris? And let's see. Whitney Smith, is that your case, Michelle?
I have the Smith versus Sinclair protective order, Judge.
Okay, and let's see. Miss Smith, are you there somewhere?
I'm here.
Okay, you're at Victims Assistance. Okay, is Mr. Sinclair present? Mr. Sinclair? Okay, y'all give me just a minute and I'll pull that case up and we'll get started. And then let's see, Brittany, I see you, and Miss Gerard.
Good morning.
Oh, I see you. Okay, and Joshua Weaton. Is Mr. Weaton present?
Judge, he showed up at the courthouse. They were going to his vehicle to try to log in from there.
Okay, Brittany, we'll get to you in just a minute then. And then let's see. All right, and then Miss Kaufman and Mr. Dawes. We've got the Tolano and Palanes, I guess. Panales. All right, and this is a custody case. Is this contested?
It's a motion to enter, Judge.
Good. Okay. And I'll get with you guys in just a second on that one. And then anyone here on Clark, Roebuck, Shalander, and we did Powell. And let's see what else we have. And
These
I think
dockets are
that's it
hard
for the morning. There's Kim Phelan. Okay.
It's very much like Judge Manning.
Let me go ahead and I'll take care of Miss Smith first. Let me pull that up.
Is this the TPO? Let it be the TPO because I'm getting kind of hungry,
Okay.
but that's okay.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have proof of service. Do you think he was served, Michelle?
He's been served. He's on here.
Oh, he is?
I think that's
Your
Michael's
Honor,
iPhone.
He was just served yesterday, so we have an issue with the 3 days notice.
Okay. Where is Mr. Sinclair? Are you there?
Will Michael's iPhone unmute and give us your last name, please?
Michael, is that you?
I'm here, sir.
Are you Michael Sinclair?
Yes.
Okay. I understand you just got served yesterday.
Yes.
You ready to go today, or what would you like to do?
Sir?
I said, are you ready to go forward on the hearing today?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Y'all, let's see, sit tight just 1 second.
Was that his attorney that said no? And then he just said sure? Ah! I'm laughing so hard.
Rainwater, Kim, I see you. Is Mr. Charles Betancourt?
Betancourt, Judge. He's incarcerated. He was served on December 8th. It's on file.
Okay, let's do that one right quick. Let me take care of the defaults. Would you raise your hand, Iris, and sworn?
In the matter before the court, do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Iris, can you say something so we can hear you?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, just speak up a little bit. All right, so does appear that there was service. Return's been on file since the 9th, and there was apparently service on the December 28th, I think it's what it says. December the 8th.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, we're ready. You want to go ahead and go forward, Kim?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Your Honor, I'd call Miss Iris Rainwater. Miss
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Rainwater, you're here today asking the court to grant a protective order against Charles Betancourt. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the nature of your relationship with Mr. Betancourt is that you were formerly in a dating relationship. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he is currently incarcerated as far as you know. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Judge, I'm going to ask that the court take judicial notice of the affidavit that's on file in this case.
I'll take judicial notice of the affidavit.
Okay. Ms. Rainwater, can you please describe to the court briefly the most recent episode of violence by Mr. Betancourt to you?
The most recent act of violence was back in August of this year. I was staying with a mutual friend of ours, and he had came by to try to discuss things to what he claimed to fix the relationship. And when he heard that I was trying to leave, that I didn't want to be involved anymore, he got very physical. I started getting punched in the head, in the back of the head. I got maced 3 times in the face. And because of the fact that I couldn't see, I was continuously getting hit. And I was still unable to see. The next thing I know, I feel a sharp object to the back of my head. And I guess with the adrenaline, I really still wasn't aware of what it was until I felt the object on my chest. And when I grabbed it with my hand, come to feel that it was a knife, and I was able to yank it out of his hand. And what I thought was sweat apparently was blood coming from my head and from my chest, to where I was unable to gather my strength or anything. So I was forced inside of the vehicle that I have owned. And he drove me to a location of one of his friend's house. At the time, I was unable to see where.
Okay. And Miss, and I don't mean to interrupt, Miss Rainwater, but where did this incident happen?
It happened, I believe the address is 2620 Florida.
Okay. And that's in Jefferson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that, did you call law enforcement?
No, ma'am, I was unable to due to the situation, to where I got maced and I had lost a lot of blood. He had broken my phone. And
Okay.
when we
Is he currently incarcerated on this offense?
No, ma'am, he's incarcerated on a previous offense, firearm possession by felon, and he's only incarcerated on one of the charges that I did file on him. Why the other charge isn't put on there, I don't know.
Okay. And was there episodes, so this happened in August and we're in December. The reason why there was a delay in filing this case was because you were also incarcerated. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you're fearful that when he gets out of jail that he's going to come after you. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. And before he went into jail, I was fearful that he would find out that I was out of jail and try to locate me.
Okay. So are you asking the court to grant this protective order because there has been violence in the past and you are afraid that when he gets out of jail, there'll be violence in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to tell the court?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Judge, that's all we have.
All right, the court will find that the court has jurisdiction over the subject matter and of the parties. I'll find that there has been family violence in the past. It's likely that family violence will occur in the future. So the protective order is granted and rendered. So, and he's currently in jail, is that right? Supposedly?
Yes, sir. He's
Okay.
incarcerated. I'm not sure when he'll get out, but she is being cooperative,
Good.
family services as well as law enforcement. And I'll get that order over to you today.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. Good luck. Good luck, Miss Rainwater.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh. All right. Let's see. The Whitney Smith and Michael Sinclair. Michael, are you there? Can you turn your microphone off? On, I mean.
I'm here, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's see. And where is Miss Smith? Raise your hand, Miss Smith. Okay. All right. Michael, raise your hand. Miss Smith, Whitney, raise your hand. Would you swear them in?
In the matter before the court, do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready, Michelle.
All right, thank you. Ms. Smith, would you state your name for the record?
Whitney Smith?
And are you a resident of Jefferson County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're here asking for a 2-year protective order against Michael Glenn Sinclair Jr., is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is or was the relationship between you and Mr. Sinclair?
We were engaged.
So you were former boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are here alleging that domestic violence has occurred between you and Mr. Sinclair in the past?
Yes, ma'am. More than one.
Was the most recent assault on or about August 27th of 2022?
It was September 27th.
All right. Was there an assault on or about August 27th of 2022?
Yes, that was assault too.
All right. Can you explain briefly what happened on that date?
On August 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on August 27th.
This must be his lawyer, hey? This is like aggressive question.
Our lights had got cut off in Hillebrand, so we went to his mom's and we were staying there. We got into like an argument, like we was arguing all that day, and then that night we went to his cousin's house. So we got to his cousin's house and we were drinking and we were all laughing and talking, and he was just in like one of his moods. He hadn't taken his meds. He's bipolar and schizophrenic. I took him to the doctor in June and he's never really taken those meds. So we were all sitting there laughing and talking, and he just kept saying stuff like, the Lord tells him to do stuff. And I was like, no, that's not the Lord talking to you. So he got mad when we all started laughing because he thought that we were laughing at him.
Ms.
And
Smith, can I stop you right there? When you said he was saying the Lord was telling him to do stuff, what kind of stuff?
just like,
Hey, Judge, this is Maritza. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the court reporter is having technical issues.
Okay.
She's
All right,
frozen.
everyone. All right, everyone. Hang on just one second. The court reporter is Zoom is acting up. So figure that out in a minute.
What is that noise? I've decided to prep my dinner. I have mushrooms and garlic, and I left the green onion in there. I'm gonna chop up the mushroom stems and the garlic. Mix
Lisa,
it with
what's the last thing that you heard?
Last thing I heard was,
about
all right,
mushrooms.
can you explain briefly? And it totally cut out. It was going in and out. So I'm now on my personal computer and hopefully.
Okay. All right, can you rewind just a little bit, Michelle, and pick up and let's get a fresh beginning.
Yes, Your Honor, no problem. All right, Ms. Smith, we're going to go back, and can you briefly tell the court what happened on August 27th of 2022?
we got to his cousin's house that night. We were all talking, laughing, and we were taking shots and drinking. And we started talking, and he was already in a mood, like I said, because he hadn't taken his meds and we had already been arguing and stuff like that. And he started talking about like curses and, you know, the Lord tells him that he can put curses on people and stuff like that. So that's how that conversation came about, and him getting mad because we all started laughing because I was like, the Lord don't do stuff like that. He's not gonna give you the power to put no curse up on nobody. And we was laughing about it, and he got mad because he thought that we were laughing at him. So he said that he was leaving. So when he left, I told Donna, I was like, hey, I'm about to leave. When I walked outside, nobody was out there. Like, I didn't see anybody out there. But when I went to open my truck door and to get into my truck, he came out of nowhere and he tried to get my keys from me. So when I was trying to crank my car, he ended up strangling me in the seat of my car and then pulling me out and throwing me against the driver's side of the car. And then I tried to get away from him, and he threw me on the ground, and rocks got in my hand. My toes were cut up, and I was able to get up, and he threw me back on the side of the car. I was able to get into the car. We were fighting for my keys still, and he started strangling me again. So I ended up putting my knee, because that's the only thing I can do, because he had me, and I started blowing the horn and with my knee. And the cousins came outside, and him and Michael started fighting. And that's how I was able to drive away.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about that night.
Okay.
After the incident occurred, did you have bruises on you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you said he strangled you, so around your neck?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have marks from that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also have scratches on your neck?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a laceration on the palm of your hand?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, did you fear for your life?
Yes, ma'am.
And after that incident, did another incident occur on September 27th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that incident, briefly explain to the court what happened.
I was at work. He dropped me off at 8 a.m. at my job at Riceland, and we were arguing, and it was like a repetitive thing, like for us to argue, and it was like an all-day thing. He texted me, it was like, you messing with somebody at your job, and it was just a lot. So when he picked me up from work at 5 o'clock, I ended up dropping my son off to the volleyball. I think it was a volleyball game or a basketball game at the school. And we ended up going back to the house. I told him I was going to my grandmother's house for a couple of days, and I started getting my clothes and stuff together because I was going to wash clothes too. And he ended up saying, like, if you leave here, you can't come back here. And so I walked to the bedroom, and he started getting clothes. He ended up snatching my wig off, and I had a reflex and I hit him back. He ended up grabbing my ribs and dragging me through the house. He actually spit on me. I was on the phone with 911 the whole time. He was like, my mom on her way, she coming to fight you. I already called her. He was on the phone with his mom telling her that I had called the police. And I was able, they told me to get to my truck, to try to get to my truck. As I was trying to get up, he still had me, and he had me on the couch. When I got up, we fell on the couch, and he started grabbing my ribs again and just squeezing them. And I was able to get away from him and go to my truck. I locked the doors, and he ended up screaming to my neighbors obscenities about me and started punching my car. And they have dents all over my car. I have $2,400 worth of damage to my car from him punching it, trying to get in it and I didn't get out the car again until the sheriff's department got there.
All right. And has there been past violence as in July of 2022?
Yes, ma'am. At
that time, did he headbutt you?
Yes, ma'am. And fractured my nose.
All right. Ms. Smith, if you'll just let me ask questions and you answer the questions, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. At that time, did he grab a knife?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he say he was going to kill himself?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ever tell you that if you tried to leave him, he would kill you?
He told me that he would hurt me. He would say he gonna kill me all the time. Like, just
Told you that on more than one occasion that he would kill you.
yes, ma'am.
All right, and you stated that he is to be on some sort of psychotropic medications.
I took him to the doctor in June. He's taking it. See, he would go to the doctor and tell the doctor he's taking the medicine when he really was not taking the meds. Like, he was smoking weed, doing everything the doctor told him not to do. So if
All right, and do you believe that if you did not get this 2-year protective order, that he would continue to threaten you, harass you, and harm you?
Yes, ma'am.
Since the temporary ex parte order has been in place, has he done any of these things to you?
No, ma'am. I haven't spoken or seen him. And the reason that I really do is because right after he found out that I pressed the charges, he went to my sister's house and he thought that he was welcome over there. My sister made him leave. Then we drove to my other sister's house and he went and sat at the car wash across the street from her house.
All right. So you're asking the court to enter into a 2-year protective order against Mr. Sinclair, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to that order, if it's entered, he is to stay away from you, your residence, and other things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're also asking, or the order's asking, that he be ordered to pay court costs in the amount of $358.
Yes, ma'am.
And also to attend a BIP program and provide the court with proof that he has done so.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, have you you've pressed charges, criminal charges against him for these assaults?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you planning on participating and cooperating with the district attorney's office in pursuing these charges?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any plans of dismissing them?
No.
All right, I pass this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Sinclair, you have the right to question her if you want to, but you have to ask questions that'll help me decide the case and not just argue with her. If you don't want to ask any questions of her and you just want to tell your side of the story, I think I'm ready to hear that. You want to just tell me your side of the story or what?
Sir.
Claire, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
all right, go ahead and tell me. Or
I never dropped nobody off on September the 27th, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I never dropped anybody off to no work.
Okay.
Number two, I don't really recall like the majority of the time I was like dealing with her because I don't really recall. And number three, yeah, and any further questions you have for me, just ask my attorney, sir. Thank you.
Well, you didn't, so who's your attorney?
Scott Rennick.
Okay, why didn't you tell me you had an attorney before we started this hearing?
I thought y'all already knew.
Nope. How would I know?
I
Connor,
don't know.
it's Scott Rennick might be his attorney on his criminal charges.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anything else? Well, Mr. Sinclair, if you don't have anything else to say, any rebuttal, Michelle?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right. Then the court will find that the court has jurisdiction over the subject matter of the parties. I'll find that the family violence has occurred in the past and it's likely to occur in the future. So the relief requested is granted. Mr. Sinclair, because of the protective order, you are under Texas law ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition. Beginning now, possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read the written admonishment that you will receive with this order to see what devices qualify as a firearm and that you are ineligible to possess. If you have any questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or questions about how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, I recommend that you contact an attorney. Okay, all right. All right, Mr. Sinclair, you can go ahead and log off, and let's move on to the Gerard case and Joshua Weaton. Joshua, are you there? Is that you? Okay, and let's see, Miss Gerard, is it, where are you? There you are. Okay, Brittany, are you with me? Where's
Yes, sir.
Brittany? Okay, all right, would you all raise your hand? Sworn?
In the matter before the court, do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so Mr. Mr. Weaton, you're ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, don't interrupt, and I won't let them interrupt you. Brittany, you want to call your client?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Gerard, can you state your full name for the record, please? My name is Venicia Gerard. And Venicia, are you the applicant requesting a protective order against Joshua Weaton Sr.? Yes. Okay, and are you all, were you in a former relationship in which you all share a child together? Yes. Okay. And Your Honor, I would ask the court to take judicial notice of the affidavit on file.
I'll take judicial notice of the affidavit on file.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Gerard, over the years, there has been a series of domestic violence. Is that correct? Correct. Now, the most recent incident involving you and Mr. Weaton was on or about November 26th of this year? Correct. Okay. And could you briefly explain to the court the most recent incident of that? Okay, the most recent was the date you just said, November the 26th. It was around 7 p.m. We text each other and he wanted to get the baby for the weekend, and he usually get them Saturday to Sunday or either on just a Sunday night. So we were texting about getting the baby. He said he would show up at 7. About 7 something, he did show up, but he had a female in a car with him. I didn't say anything to the girl. I just put the baby in the car, and I got out of my car because I was waiting in my car, and I put the baby in the car with him. And then I said, hold on, I forgot his shoes. And so when I was walking back to give him the shoes for the baby, I said, can you make sure he don't bust his lip like last time? Because previously my baby came home with a busted nose and lip, and it looked like somebody hurt him. And I took him to the hospital as soon as it happened, and they said it was no harm done to him and he was fine. So I brought him home and continued, taking care of him. But I just told Mr. Weaton to make sure that he doesn't hurt my child, or make sure my child doesn't hurt himself. And that's how the argument got started. He said, be worried, don't tell me what to do in front of his company or whatever, the girl that was with him. And I feel like he was just trying to play me or whatever in front of her, like curse me out in front of the girl. And I just door to where my baby was. And then the girl got out the car and she went to the trunk to get something. I don't know what she was doing. I just closed her door because it was right here in my face when she opened the door to the car. I was standing outside the car. And when I closed her door, Mr. Weaton got out the car and came around to my side to where I was and knuckled up in my face. And that's how we started fighting. We exchanged a few fist punches. And then he got in the car to proceed to drive off. I think I ran up to the car and kicked it or something. And he got out the car, chased me to my porch. And he started punching me in the back of the head. I had to ball up like this and cover my face. And after he punched me, the girl was telling him, no, come back to the car. And then he went back to the car and drove off. He stopped by my car and he started doing something to it. I don't know. And I ran over, but he drove away. And that's what happened. I called the police and called my parents and stuff. Okay. Okay. And did you sustain any injuries from that day? Yes, I have a shoulder contusion to my right shoulder. I'm supposed to be wearing a sling, but I'm trying to go to work today, so I took it off. Okay. Now, prior to that, was there also an incident on August 12th this year? Yes. I don't really remember all the dates, but I know the last time he assaulted me, it was at my house. I was trying to exchange the baby, and he ended up putting an injury on my wrist, and it was swollen, and crime scene took a picture of it.
Okay, and that was prior to November 26th? That was a different day?
That was a different day.
Okay.
And different days before that as well.
And approximately, would you say that you've been abused on several occasions on different dates over the years?
Yes, ever since I was pregnant. The first time was whenever I was pregnant, and I lived on Hazel Street. Ever since I found out I was pregnant, I've been getting every kind of assault from Mr. Weaton except sexually.
Okay. And are you at this point in your life in which, well, during those times, were you in fear that he could seriously injure you?
Yes.
Okay, and were there on some occasions that you did not follow through with charges?
Yes, every occasion except this last one.
Okay, and are you asking the court at this point in y'all's lives for your protection that the court grant a protective order?
Yes.
Okay, and these incidents, did they occur in Jefferson County, Texas?
Yes.
Okay, and are you asking the court also that Mr. Weaton, with that protective order, maintain a distance and do not, that he be prohibited from harassing or doing anything in an alarming manner towards you or anyone in your household?
Yes.
And are you also requesting that he be prohibited from possessing a firearm and ammunition?
As long as he's not around me, yes, yes.
Okay. And are you also requesting that he be ordered to complete batter's intervention classes through family services as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And any other stipulations the judge may put upon him, are you requesting that that be done?
Yes.
Okay. Is there also, there also an issue with Mr. Weaton's drug use in regards to marijuana?
Yes.
And has that continuously been an issue with you and obviously the safety of your child to make sure none of that gets in your child's system?
Yes.
Easy. Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Weaton, you can question her if you want to, but you have to follow all the rules and your questions have to help. Your questions can't be just arguing and your questions have to, basically help me decide the case. If you want to forego that, at this time, I'll let you go ahead and tell your side of the story. What would you like to do? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'd like to tell my side of the story.
All right. Well, if that's a phone, why don't you hold it a little closer to you and speak up because I can barely hear you, okay? All right, go ahead. Tell me your side of the story, please.
Speak, sir.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell me your side of the story.
All right. Everything she said at the beginning about me meeting up with her at 7 o'clock, that was correct. When I met up with her, she had put my son in the car and she had told me that I want to get his shoes. I said, that's fine. She had went to go to her car to get the shoes. And my girlfriend got out the car and went to the trunk to get something out for her, for my girlfriend. And then she had came back with the shoes. She had slammed me because she seen my girlfriend door was open. She slammed the door. She started talking to me aggressive. She threw the shoes in the car. She had told me, make sure he don't have a busted nose, a busted lip like the last time. And I said, I just told her like, whatever. And then when my girlfriend got back in the car, she came back to the car and started punching the window. Pushing my girlfriend side of the window. We have it all on video, so we can show y'all. But she started punching the window. And that's when I got out the car. I told her to stop punching my window. And that's when she started putting her hands on me. So I pushed her off of me. When I pushed her off of me, she dropped the keys. She dropped the keys to her house. She told me she couldn't find her keys, which is on video. I told her, I don't care about your keys. I just got back in the car. I proceeded to leave. And when I had my side of the window down, she ran to my side of the window and punched me in my nose and ran off. And I had got out the car and ran after and pushed her. And when I pushed her, I had ran back to my car. It's all on video.
You slid, she slid.
Right. Don't talk.
So, Your Honor, someone's telling him what to say during testimony. I'm gonna ask whoever is talking to him.
Yeah, this has to be your words. No one can tell you what to say.
Okay.
So, all right. Where is this video?
It's on my phone.
Okay. All right. And in order, if you want me to look at it, we're gonna have to figure out a way for you to do that.
I'd like you to
Why
look
don't
at
you
it,
just,
sir.
why don't you email it? Can you email it to my assistant? And then I'll see if I can
Yes, sir.
pull it up and look at it. Hang on, I'm actually gonna give you another email address. Can you write this down?
No,
Yes, sir.
no,
Tell me when you're ready.
we aren't gonna.
I'm ready.
All right. EXA JEFF .US. All right. Can you email that from your phone
Yes,
to
sir.
that? Can you email that from your phone
Yes, sir.
to that email? All right. Let's take it. Let me everyone Mr. Weaton, Mr. Gerard, and if you guys will just turn your video off temporarily, and I'll come back to you in just a minute. Let me take care of the some other cases. Okay.
Very
All right.
Manning.
Sonia and Malika, I'm sorry, Judson, Tolano. Let me pull that case up right quick. Ooh.
Sir.
Okay. Motion to enter. Okay. Okay. Apparently y'all had a mediated settlement agreement back in
I'm
September.
gonna peel a whole head of garlic now so that I can eat it later. Baby. Ooh, should I roast one too? Kissing. Nobody. I think I should. I think a head of garlic and peel garlic for use in my mushroom. Yeah, because I'm an adult. So I'm having stuffed mushrooms for dinner.
We're preparing, and who was initially was ordered, or who was the prepared the original version? Was that you, Sonia?
It was.
Okay, and so you've already submitted that to Judson, I assume, and Judson, you've looked it over, and Judson, what do you have any issues with her version of the order?
Judge, the only issue we've got is the passport language in the order.
Okay.
The passport provision was not negotiated at mediation, and so we would ask that it stay the same as what was in the previous order.
What was in the previous order? Nothing?
No, there was a specific negotiated passport provision from, I think it was the 2014 order, and that is carried on through. And so we would ask that specific language that was in the previous orders carry on through to this order.
Did we change? All right, so I think what I hear you say is there in 2014 there was a provision for for a passport order, or concerning a passport. It wasn't negotiated. Nothing showed up on the mediated settlement agreement. Did primary conservatorship change in this case?
No, Judge. Okay. Mrs. Kaufman's client has been the sole managing conservator since at least another order or two ago, and my client's been a possessory conservator, and that's remained the same.
Okay, so all right, so Sonia, what kind of language? What kind of does the language in this order differ from the 2014 order?
You know, I've represented her a long time. I don't have a 2014 order. The language that Judson sent to me was from the divorce decree passport language, which was in about, I think, 2008. And I'm not sure in 2008 that she was sole managing conservator. But what I do know is that the modification order in 2011, there was no passport language. There was no passport language in the modification order entered in 2018. So what I have included here, she is sole managing, and I tracked the language of the family code, section 153.132, which says that the sole managing conservator has the exclusive right to apply for a passport, renew the passport, and maintain possession of the passport. So the only passport language I know of was 14 or 15 years ago, when I'm not sure that she was sole managing. And there have been several modifications since that had no passport language.
Okay.
And I know that the rights and duties in the family code for sole managing have evolved over time. So this is the
Right.
the
So,
correct language.
so what was the and I don't have a 2014 order. I've got a, oh, it was transferred from somebody, or wasn't it? Okay. So anyway, if it's in here somewhere, I'm gonna have trouble finding it. But so what was
They're
the
coming
language in the
back.
2014 order concerning the passport, Judson?
Judge, I can share my screen and show it to you. That might be the easiest thing to do.
Okay, you're.
Easiest for
I've
you, maybe a
activated,
problem for me.
I've activated that feature. I am now in a share full state.
Are you seeing it okay, Judge?
Yes. All right. So. Okay, thank you.
So see, it makes no sense that this is 2014 when it says passport language from divorce decree. Divorce decree was 2008 or so. And you see the language there, the child's passport on or before June 23rd of 2008. So if they were ordered to apply for the passport in 2008, why would they
Right.
be in a 2014 order?
Well, so all right, in this, all right, she's got, so the mother has the right to maintain possession of the passports. I mean, so I'm assuming that would be reflected in the new order. And so if anybody wants to leave, to travel outside the United States, then with 10 days notice, the mother would deliver the passport to the other parent.
But see, that's inconsistent with the rights of sole managing conservator. In the family code, she has the exclusive right to maintain possession. There is no obligation on a sole managing conservator to deliver a passport to a possessory conservator. So that's
So how does a if the possessory conservator wants to travel outside of the country, is what mechanism is it for him to be able to get the passport? Hopefully
there is one short of coming to court. That's one of the rights of the sole exclusive right of this parent. If she decides to approve it, she can do that, but there's no automatic requirement for a sole managing conservator to deliver a passport.
Judge, my point is.
Hang on, Judson, just 1 second, if you don't mind. I'm trying to go back.
I'm going to stuff them with cream cheese, the mushroom caps, garlic, cheddar cheese, salt, pepper, some of my mushroom ketchup that I made, which is like Worcestershire sauce. But if you want,
so in the 24th, I guess this is 2014.
live.
I'm not sure what year.
It can't be, because it says final divorce decree.
I'm sorry, 2008, my mistake. All right, so in 2008, I've got an order that we're in, they were both joint managing conservators. And hang on, Judson, I'm not going to make a decision until I hear from you, but let me just get this out or I'll never remember. So in 2008, we have a final decree of divorce. She was at that point a joint managing conservator, and they had this, and they had some language concerning the passport. All right, so you guys are going to have to help me because the case was transferred and I'm trying to sort through this. So then I'm looking, and before the transfer, there were some orders for enforcement, a petition to modify.
Judge, I can connect the dot for you.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I'm looking for. All right, when they were joint managing conservators, they had this provision for the passport. Okay, now she's by agreement, she will be a sole managing conservator, and I think that Sonia is right, and I'm gonna no disrespect, I'm gonna double check, but I think she's right. I think when the rights and duties of a sole managing conservator also include kind of that, sole control over the passport. So, all right, that's what I'm perceiving. But so if I'm wrong, Judson, tell me where I'm wrong.
There was a 2014 order on a modification, and that's the order that named Mr. Pinal as a possessory conservator. That order does not address passports, and it specifically says that any provision of the previous order not modified shall remain in effect.
That's inconsistent with the rights and duties of a sole managing conservator. And I don't think they agreed for her to be sole. I think that was a litigated issue in Travis County or in the Austin area. So I think the first modification in Jefferson County was in 2018, and I don't think that changed conservatorship.
But my point is, if the 2014 order named her the sole managing conservator and him the possessory conservator, and specifically did not address the passport issue and specifically said, look, all of the provisions are going to stay the same, then it should continue to stay the same because it's never been negotiated.
Hang on just a second. Let me look around.
Judge Shelton is so good. I trust him usually to be very thorough. He's going to do what's best for the kid, but also what's legal.
Wasn't in the 2018 order, so I don't understand why it's even coming up now. Because it's always been the right of the sole managing to maintain the passport, exclusive control.
I think the issue is because all of the other orders to modify have said any other provision not addressed in this order shall remain the same. And so now you're reverting all the way back to the original order that has the passport language. It's never been changed.
I get what both of you are saying. I guess what I'm trying to figure out though is between this order back in trying to be sure I got the dates right here. The 20 back to the, all right. I understand. So basically in the divorce, she was a sole managing conservator. Then in a subsequent modification, 2014, maybe, that's when, I'm sorry, she was a joint managing conservator in the divorce. Then in 2014, she became a sole managing conservator. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is that when the did the statute change at some point between 2014 and 2022 that included included specifically the language about sole managing conservator having the right to the passport. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And
well, there was a 2018 order after the 2014 order, obviously, and she was sole managing conservator in that order, and there was no passport language as they're asking to put in.
But Judge, the original passport language in the decree is custom language. It's language that they negotiated, came up with themselves.
Right.
And
That's standard passport language.
It's never been part of a modification. It's never been addressed by the court. It's never been addressed in any kind of a mediated settlement agreement from then to now. And every order between then and now says, hey, if this order doesn't touch on a provision of the previous order, then the provisions in the previous order stays the same.
She looks like she's from Scooby-Doo.
You know, I'm looking at the rights and duties of a parent appointed sole managing conservator. I don't mean to make such a big deal about this, but I mean, I guess for the longest time I can remember under that section 153, 132, there's always been 1 through 9. I guess I've just now noticed for the first time that 10 is there. I'm just kind of wondering when 10 came into existence. I mean, I hate to go through a bunch of history on that.
What is the code section, Judge?
153, 132. And then it says that unless limited by court order, the managing conservator has the rights, exclusive rights, and it sets it, and it goes all the way down to 10. So I guess hang on just a second, you guys. Let me pull some up.
Okay, Judge. This is real law, folks. It's real law. But family law is such a weird niche. Do you guys say niche or niche? I say niche. I'm now chopping all of my peeled garlic.
Sometimes there is some value to hanging on to old documents.
Tell us about it, Hoarder Judge. I love old things.
Or old books, I should say.
Older men. I know. I shouldn't say that, but I do. Potatoes. Actually, to be honest, it's older men and women. You say niche, really? Oh, no, it's niche. I'm pretty sure. Ugh. I'm trying to make a dinner that I pretend I didn't make. I don't know how long that's gonna take or what it's gonna take to make me feel like I didn't make this. But that's my goal. Potatoes. Oh, I don't have potatoes, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm gonna have corn. Does anybody know? Do I need to soak the corn? I guess I could just cook it. I could just cook the corn. Being porn. Oopsie daisy. I'm so crazy. How do you make a dinner that you can pretend you didn't make? I'm about to tell you. I think part of it is a good amount of time in between. You don't soak corn, eh? I very much remember soaking corn. Time in between the preparation and the eating.
Okay, it looks I'm at a quick glance, and that's about all I can do right this minute. It looks like that at least back in 2010, because that's as far back as those volumes go, show that they didn't have the passport provisions at least then. So sometime between 2010 and 2022, the passport provision was added to the exclusive rights of the sole managing conservator. Now, we'll leave the language alone as it is in the order. However, Judson, if you can do the legislative legwork and find something to where it was, give me a little bit of a legislative history about when the statute changed, then it may be something I can reconsider. Okay, but she was dead. There weren't any y'all probably, I'm guessing, in the mediated settlement agreement didn't go through every single right anyway, right? So so it does designate her as a sole managing conservator. And so that's why I'm looking to this particular statute in this particular way. But again, I mean, there might be something more persuasive if you could give me some kind of legislative history about when it came back, but at this stage of the game, I think I'm just going to have to go along with that language because it does. And I do understand your theory and I do get it. I'm just trying to make sense of all this. And and I guess this is the only, I'm trying to read the intent of the parties. I mean, if you say she's going to be the sole managing conservator, then instinctively, 153, 132 would apply with all 10 rights. If the mediated settlement agreement had said she gets all of the rights 153, 132, except right 10, and y'all deviated from the 10th, which has to do with the passport, item 10, I should say, then I get it. So anyway, I'm not, but like I said, if I'm always willing to reconsider something, if you've got, but give it some thought, if you can find some kind of legislative history, if you can make it kind of work consistently with all this other stuff, then I might reconsider. But right now, we need to put this to bed. So you got 30 days, Judson. So I'll go ahead and sign this order today if that's really the only issue, and then we'll take it from there, okay? All right. So I'm sorry, Judson.
There's one other issue from the
Yeah.
MSA judge. Judson, and I know he intends to do it, I just want to get on the record that he's going to do. He was going to file a non-suit with prejudice of the enforcement action. That
Okay.
was part of the MSA, and that has not been done to my knowledge. So I was hoping we could get on the record maybe a date by which you'll do that.
Okay. Can you get that in well by well, the holidays are fastly approaching. Can we get that done before January 1st?
Judge, I can. My client is vigorously shaking his head, like he wants to be heard from the court, and so.
Okay.
if
Well,
the judge
I'll give you a few minutes, but listen, like I said, there's really not it's not really kind of an evidentiary issue. It's really more of a legal issue. But if you promise not to take too long, go ahead and tell me what you want to say.
Can I speak now? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Judge. So real quick, I'm going to touch two of the topics. The whole thing about the passport, and Judson, you did great at explaining that. Yes, it was, the divorce decree was as a result of a mediated settlement agreement as well. And that's where we outlined all that language regarding the passport. Judson also referenced the orders, even from 2018, where both Amy and I are named, or it says shall remain sole managing for Amy and shall remain possessory for me. So none of that has changed. And there's a blanket statement also, like Judson says, that says that any previous or orders shall remain the same, that not specifically mentioned. You also had a case yesterday, Judge, where Mr. Freeze and Mr. Hughes had a very identical situation.
I know. Well, not exactly the same, but similar. Okay. The distinction, and that's why I've struggled with this morning, because I'm trying to be consistent, and I agree. But again, the difference from yesterday to today is sole managing conservatorship. Okay. That is something that that was contained in the contract. And the statute is it's right there, number 10. It says that if you're the sole managing conservator, you maintain these particular rights. Listen, I see a distinction in your case and the one yesterday, and that's why I've struggled with this a little bit this morning, trying to be consistent. But that's a little bit of a different situation, and it may be very difficult for to see that. But from my angle, it is a little different. Their mediated settlement agreement is not anything like yours. They remained, that's just a little bit different animal. Not to mention that you've gone through so many changes in the changes in your order since 2008, apparently, and I'm trying to be consistent with that. But listen, and so I acknowledge that, and I do strive to be consistent, but this is just a little bit different kind of situation. I know it might be difficult for you to see it, but I do, and I got to go with that. Sorry. So, all right.
But second thing, my second thing.
All right, one more thing.
Yeah, just on that, I mean, this is on the record, right? So I do want my objection noted on that. But now on the second issue, Sonia mentioned about the dismissal with prejudice. It was without prejudice, because my concern is that if Hannah exhibits this petulant behavior again, that she doesn't want to come to me, and her mother supports that behavior as she did, that brought us here to begin with, we're gonna end up again here. And I want to be able to bring this forward if it's without prejudice.
All right, hang on.
It's written at the top of the handwritten page of the
Oh,
MSA.
hey, can I point out one other thing real quickly? I just noticed this. Item 14 on your mediated settlement agreement, the final order may include additional language pursuant to the Texas Family Law Forms Manual. So that does address does include with the passport language. So where, and I'm sorry, Sonia, I didn't hear a word you said because I was focused on that, but is there something in the order about the with or without prejudice, the dismissal?
It's at the top of that page. If you scroll up, it's written in blue ink. It says Pete Pinella shall dismiss the pending enforcement action with prejudice within 7 days of today.
In blue ink at the top of the first page.
You were looking at number 14. If you just scroll up to the top of that.
Oh, the top of that page. Oh, yeah, I see it. Hang on. We'll dismiss the pending enforcement action with prejudice. So, well, y'all kind of sign that. Sorry.
What I want to point out to that, Judge, and I have that here, that's probably what you have, is all in handwriting. I was given this paper because we were in different rooms to sign. I signed it without that notation at the top being there when I signed it, because we were all rushing at the end of the day. It was like gonna be 6 o'clock. And so that was not there when I signed it and it was taken to them. Now, I don't have a problem getting dismissed because it was never discussed during the mediation, I will say that. But I don't have a problem being dismissed, but there was never discussions on prejudice versus non-prejudice, because I can tell you right now, I would have said without prejudice.
Okay.
Right away, because that's been my concern, Judge, coming to your court, because it's been, Hannah was so petulant and not wanting to come to me.
Okay. Well, did y'all have a mediator?
Myra Gregory.
Okay.
And it's all in handwriting. And it was like,
now you're kind of bringing up a whole nother, issue. So, look, I
guess what's good.
Oh, wait.
Your words.
Wait.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, you seem like a very interesting guy. It would be interesting to have a friendly debate about this, but I just don't. But I'm going to have to kind of bring this to a close. Listen. You guys have Judson, you guys have 30 days, if you want to try to make another argument, and make an argument, because like I said, the language on item 14, the item, the mother being sole managing conservator, not really having a grasp of any kind of legislative history about when something might have changed and when it hasn't. I mean, that's kind of the basis for me making a decision on that. As far as your and you have, again, Judson, you have 30 days. If you guys want to try to, attack that provision of it, you'll just have to bring a motion for new trial, I guess, alleging that something wasn't there, that that something was added after the fact, that he wasn't aware of it. That's just a whole nother, problem. So,
Judge, if I could, just for the record, I have an ethical obligation to have candor with the court. And that's what I'm doing. I've looked up the statute since we've been sitting here. The statute was changed in 2019 to specifically add the passport language, item number 10. So that's a non-issue as far as I'm concerned. And as far as the adding something to the MSA, I'm not in no way going to make that allegation that something was added to the It's not negotiated, mediate.
All right.
And so what I'll say for the record is if Mr. Pinales wants to pursue these two issues, I would ask that I be permitted to withdraw from the case so that he can pursue them, because I can't ethically pursue those two issues.
Okay, well, thank you for your candor, especially on that 2019 issue. Anyway, so all right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign the order today in the version that Ms. Kaufman has given us or provided to the court. And then you guys have 30 days to, do whatever, Mr. Pernalis, you have 30 days to pursue anything that you want to try to pursue. But look, let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. If there's some legitimate, request to, have the passports and take the kids on some sort of vacation. And if she is unreasonably withholding that, and she doesn't have any safety concerns or something like that. I mean, if it's just spite, then you guys can come back and we'll tackle that again, I guess. So maybe there's a problem, maybe there is a problem, maybe there won't be a problem, but today I'm sort of stuck with what I got. Okay. So, all right, let's go ahead and sign that. And then I'll let you guys go. So Judson and Kaufman, Sonia, Merry Christmas. Very, very festive there, Sonia. And
I do want my objections noted.
All Judson has to show for Christmas looks like a little red ball on his shelf. What did you want to say, Mr. Pernalis?
Just for the record, I want my objections noted, please.
Well, you don't have technically, you don't have to do that in Texas, but yes, I will. But I will note your objections. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll let you guys go. We need to. All right. Did Joshua? Did you ever come back? Are you there? We need to take a break, but before we do that, I was going to see if I could find his mail.
I'm here.
Okay, hang on. Let me see if it came in. All right.
I'm having a problem sending it to you, but I'm right outside, so I can.
Well, yeah. How come you're having trouble? You can't just email it?
I was emailing it. It had like what is Postmaster. It said having an issue of emailing it to you. I was just gonna get my mama to email it to you.
Okay.
But you're kind of. I hate to be kind of rude, but we kind of push for time.
I know. I know. Listen,
if you use your discretion with this. There's also other incidents as noted in the affidavit that the court is taking judicial notice.
I understand. Listen, Joshua, is there anything else that you want to tell me? You tell me about the video, and I might be able to figure out something about that later. But is there anything else though that you need to that you want to tell me before I make a tentative decision?
Yes, sir. I feel like she got the harass against me, but I feel like I'm being the one that's being harassed. She comes to my job harassing me, my boss. She left notes in my job. She called corporate on me. And my job just pushed it aside because they see what she's trying to do. It's just several things. I got text messages to prove that she's harassing me. She harassed my mama. She harassed several people. And it's just like, she putting me to blame. It's not true. And she smoked weed too. And with her with her problem of her being bipolar schizophrenic, she shouldn't be smoking weed because it makes her act out of control when she can't control herself. And she's out of hand. Like, I really don't want to be in contact with her because how out of hand she is. I can't.
Okay.
She fucking me for years. Like, and she only doing this because I told her I was going to the police. That's why she doing this whole thing.
Okay. All right. Do you have any cross or any redirect? Or I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait. I'm sorry, Mr. Weaton. Brittany, do you have any questions for Mr. Weaton?
Sorry. No, I don't think we would get very far, Judge.
Okay. All right, Mr. Weaton. Anything else?
She sent threats on Facebook for somebody to hurt me. I have all evidence to show you. But you
just don't have a way to get it to me.
Yes, sir. But I'm outside.
Okay. All right. And all right. So so some text messages and some video maybe. Brittany, do you have any rebuttal?
Your Honor, I could ask Mr. Gerard.
Whatever you want. I mean, if you have any rebuttal, and after that, I'll make a decision.
Okay, yes, Mr. Gerard, have you heard the allegations that Mr. Weaton just stated?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to respond?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to say, usually whenever I text him, it's to co-parent. And when things don't work out his way, or whenever you can look at child support, he owed me like $2,000 in arrears, and he does not follow the visitation schedule. And that's usually why we arguing, or why I text his mom. And I called his job, yes, to see if they have the child support, or why they're not making the payments, because I contacted the child support several times to see why. But as far as text messages, I have text messages as well. It's him trying to give me drugs or harassing me as well. So I feel like the text messages wouldn't be fair, because there's both double-sided. I can go back for years and pull up text messages as well.
Okay. And Henry, do you all have an account with My Family Wizard?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would you feel like if the judge granted this protective order, if there is any contact that needs to be done through co-parenting, that maybe y'all should go through the My Family Wizard app so that everything can be recorded for the court to see?
Yes, I would love that.
Okay. And as stated earlier, there isn't just a one incident. There has been several between you all in regards to domestic violence, correct?
Yes, ever since I was pregnant, I have got a disturbance of the peace for eviction, for him fighting me in my house. A woman seen him pour juice on my face before, and she called the police on him. He has been, the Beaumont police know him personally.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Then the court will find now, Mr. Weaton, you have 30 days to appeal this if you want. But I'm going to make a decision today. If you want to, but if you appeal and you want me to review that evidence, and if I grant the, I mean, not appeal, I should say, grant your new trial, I'll at that time I'll look at it. But for now, I'm going to, based on what I've heard so far, I am going to grant the protective order. Mr. Weaton, because of the protective order, you are under Texas law ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition. Beginning now, possession of a firearm or ammunition can lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read the written admonishment that you will get when you get the order to see what devices qualify as a firearm and that you are ineligible to possess. If you have any questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or questions about how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, I recommend that you contact an attorney. So, all right. So, all right, that's so you guys are you're excused. And
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, I don't think we have any other cases on the docket this morning. Maritza, I think that takes care of it.
That's correct, Judge. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll be adjourned.
Oh, he is such a lovely judge. I love him. He's really tries to be nice to everybody. But I really do appreciate his quickness sometimes. He gives some leeway. I thought those were interesting cases tonight. We did over 3 hours, a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. If you want to see something funny, go check out my Amazon wish list. I added recently these vintage looking McDonald's character purses, like the Hamburglar, or there's a chicken nugget one. Oh my God, they're so funny. You should go check them out. It's in the link tree, I believe. That was lots of fun. 3 whole hours. I am gonna go make the mushrooms now. I'm gonna devour them all. And that's probably all I'm gonna eat for my dinner, along with bread. And I'm gonna watch some YouTube, and I'm gonna chill. I hope that each and every one of you had a good time. Please make sure to like the video, go comment on it. I don't know, watch some old stuff. Leave timestamps of funny things. I love it. I love it. I read all the comments. Remember, I love you. I'm proud of you. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Coming up.
Oh, no, wrong fucking button. Bye.